namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Okay, somebody needs to make me the co-host so I can share the file. Thank you. Okay, so we are studying the 5th verse. So I hope my screen is visible. So we have started the 5th verse, so I'll just chant the verse again and then we can start. Krishneti yasya kiritam manasa driyeta dikshasti cheta pranatibhischa bhajantamisham Shushrusaya bhajana vikyamananyamanya nindadishu nihridamipshita sangalabdhya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity, and one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So we had already started, so I'm going to start reading from where we left off that day. So Prabhupada says that one therefore has to raise himself from the position of Kanishta Adhikari to the platform of Madhyam Adhikari. And he quotes this verse from 11th canto, and he says in that, he also quotes the translation, the Madhyam Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the highest object of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotees, and is merciful to the ignorant and avoids those who are envious by nature. So we discussed this we discussed this last week, that how a Madhyam Adhikari can see the presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in each and everyone's heart, and therefore he also knows how to deal with them accordingly. So the reason Rupa Goswami is giving this verse here is because he, in the previous verse, he just told us about the 6 loving exchanges. And in this verse, he is now going to tell us that you should know how to apply these loving exchanges and where to apply them. And that is why he's giving us a classification of different levels of devotees. So, and also when we read these verses of NOI, what is the most important thing is that we should not use it to externally judge others, but more or less for our own to judge our own advancement, or to know where we are at and how we need to behave. So they are more for our internal use rather than the external use on other devotees. So and then I'll continue. Prabhupada says this is the way to cultivate devotional service properly. Therefore, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami has advised us how to treat various devotees. We can see from practical experience that there are different types of Vaishnavas. The Prakrit Sahajiyas generally chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such persons may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified. Such people should be respected within one's mind, but their association should be avoided. So Prabhupada is making it very clear. The Sahajiyas, there is a category of Vaishnavas, or so-called Vaishnavas called Prakrit Sahajiyas, who chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but they also carry on with different practices, like they're attached to women, they're attached to money, and they are also, sometimes you see that there are some some devotees who are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and are at the same time smoking ganja. So some kind of intoxication. So he's saying that because they are chanting the holy name of the Lord, we should respect them in our mind, but we should not try to associate with them. Their association should be completely avoided. And then he says that the other category is that those who are innocent but simply carried away by bad association should be shown favor if they're eager to receive proper instructions from pure devotees. That if you come across those people who are innocent who don't know much about Krishna consciousness, who don't know much about bhakti. But due to bad association, they have fallen in bad ways. So, to them, if they're receptive, we can give them the message, we can give them the instructions, we can make them familiar with bhakti yoga. So, that way, we can. He's saying that one can be shown compassion by giving proper instructions, provided they are willing to receive it. And then he says, but those neophyte devotees who are actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and are seriously engaged in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master should be offered respectful obeisances. So those who are initiated and by a bona fide spiritual master and are trying their best to actually fulfill the orders and instructions of the spiritual master should be given respectful obeisances. So Srila Prabhupada is also going to quote from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's going to quote various things about Diksha. So, but the bottom line is that a person must be surrendered to Guru and Krishna. For initiation, for somebody to be called a proper initiate, surrender has to be there. And then Prabhupada says, in this Krishna consciousness movement, a chance is given to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or color. Everyone is invited to join this movement, sit with us, take prasad, and hear about Krishna. When we see that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness and wants to be initiated, we accept him as a disciple for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So Prabhupada is giving the criteria that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness, not just for the heck of it. A lot of times, devotees express their desires to get initiated because they think it's a status symbol, that if you have a name like this das, so dasi, it is a status symbol. So, and they may not be surrendered, they may not actually be interested in Krishna consciousness. And that is why a lot of times we see that after initiation, a lot of people just go away, they just disappear, because their goal in life was just to get initiation. Then Prabhupada says, when a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be accepted immediately as a bona fide Vaishnava, and obeisances should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds and japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as Uttam Adhikari, a highly advanced devotee, and his association should always be sought. So Prabhupada is making it very clear that we will come across different kind of Vaishnavas. So we should be able to apply what we have learned here in our dealings with them, how to deal with different kinds of Vaishnavas. And proper dealings means there will be no offense, no disrespect. We don't want to associate with someone who doesn't have a proper conduct and pay him obeisances, whereas one who is an Uttam Adhikari, we just, kind of neglect them. We don't want to do that. We want to deal with different devotees properly at the level they are at. So that's why these instructions are of paramount importance. And then Prabhupada quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita that Diksha Kale Bhakt Kare Atma Samarpan, Say Kale Krishna Tare Kare Atma Sam. That at the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, initiation is not about getting a name or getting the beads. It is about the heart connection. If one is fully surrendered to the service of the Lord, then Krishna accepts him as good as he himself. So sometimes we read these and we say, oh, I'm initiated now, so, Krishna has accepted me as himself. No, there is a condition. When a devotee fully surrenders, when his heart, his actions, his words, everything is fully surrendered to the service of the Lord, that time, if at the time of initiation, Krishna accepts him as himself. Diksha or spiritual initiation is explained in Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. So this is another benchmark that we may be initiated, but are we really becoming disinterested in material enjoyment? This is a very wonderful benchmark to see where we are at. Are we initiated in name only, or is that initiation really helping us to progress further? Are we really taking it that seriously? And then Prabhupada says that when a person is serious about accepting Diksha, He must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and body. So, very important that a person must be willing to voluntarily accept austerity. And this austerity may be in terms of, fasting, it may be in terms of trying to chant good rounds. So, when somebody is serious about accepting Diksha, that person must be willing to practice austerity, and one must be willing to practice celibacy. So Prabhupada says that even for grihasthas, if they are only having sex for procreation, then they are as good as celibate. Prabhupada says in many places that I consider them as sannyasi. And control of the mind and body, how our mind is functioning, how the body is functioning. And then Prabhupada says, if one is so prepared and is desirous to receive spiritual enlightenment, Divyam Jnanam, he is fit for being initiated. Divyam Jnanam is technically called Tad Vigyan, or knowledge about the Supreme. Tad Vijnanartham Sa Gurum Ivabhikachet, Munduka Upanishad. When one is interested in the transcendental subject matter of the absolute truth, he should be initiated. What is the criteria for initiation? The surrender, willingness to practice austerity, celibacy, and control mind and body, and also interested in transcendental subject matter, that I want to know how I can progress, I want to know who Krishna is, I want to know what my sambandha is. And then Prabhupada says such a person should approach a spiritual master in order to take Diksha. But many times people just approach because they feel that my friend is getting initiated, I don't want to be left behind, so let me just go and I'll also get Diksha. And it's very unfortunate because such a Diksha doesn't really help. Diksha taken with wrong intentions or with untrue intentions or not being serious doesn't really help. And I've seen many practical examples of this, that such Diksha is not really helpful. It is in the name only. You are Das Dasi in the name only, but there is no surrender in the heart. Then Prabhupada says, one should not accept a spiritual master without following his instructions. Spiritual master, Prabhupada says many times that he is not a fashion statement. That, you're going and you have social circles where you go and declare, you know what, I have a guru. The spiritual master is not for that purpose. And then he says, nor should one accept a spiritual master just to make a fashionable show of spiritual life. One must be jigyasu, very much inquisitive to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. So every time we try to, imbibe those instructions, and it's not necessary. A lot of times in our movement, the spiritual masters are so busy with many disciples, with many projects, we may not be able to get their time personally. But spiritual masters, they speak, they give classes, and those instructions are for us as well. If those instructions are not for us, why are they really speaking? What's the point of them speaking or giving classes? So sometimes people think, oh, my Guru Maharaj hasn't given me any personal instruction, but he's giving instruction through his discourses. That instruction is also for you. It is not for somebody outside. It is also for the disciples. So we should be very inquisitive to learn. We should be very, very, very sincere to follow. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science. Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. This is another thing that a lot of times we may go to a spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, should I take this job or not? Should I live here or not? So these may be okay because they do have impact on your spiritual life. But our primary inquisition from the Guru should be, how can I progress? How can I serve? What should I do? So these should be the questions foremost in our mind. We could be asking them other things also, like, should I do business? Should I do job? Okay. But that's not all we go to spiritual master for. Our primary concern is to understand how we can make progress. That should be the primary concern. Prabhupada says the word Uttamam refers to that which is above material knowledge. Tama means the darkness of this material world, and Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subject matters, but when one has lost such interest and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit for being initiated. This is the qualification for initiation. This is not qualification for after initiation. Prabhupada is saying this is the qualification for initiation. That whenever I go and meet my guru, I only ask him about how to progress spiritually, how to render more service. So heavy statements, And then he says, when one is actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and when he engages in the service of the Lord, he should be accepted as a Madhyamadhikari. So this is when he's talking about actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and engaging in the service of the Lord. This is Brahman initiation or Gayatri initiation. Because then one serves the Lord, one does deity worship. So ideally, Brahman initiation means that one would have come to the platform of Nishtha. And that is the level of Madhyamadhikari. Then he says the chanting of the holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and Lord himself. Abhinatvam nama namino. That there is no difference between the holy name and the giver of the holy name or the Lord himself. One who has reached such an understanding should be very respected by neophyte devotees. One who has understood that there is no difference between the holy name and the Lord is to be respected. Because a lot of people, we may be chanting for many years, but we may have intellectually processed it. That, there's no difference between Krishna and his name, but we have not realized it. A person who has realized this should be considered extremely fortunate and should be given the respect. There's a lot of difference between intellectually processing something and realizing something. Realizing something means that has become our reality. This is how we live. This is how we do everything with that reality. So if it has not become our reality, then we have only intellectually processed it and we have a long way to go. And Prabhupada says one should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be a proper candidate for advancement in Krishna consciousness. That very heavy statement again, that if we don't learn to chant offenselessly, we cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. We may be doing 10,000 different services, we may be doing 10,000, reading 10,000 shastras and everything, but if we have not learned this very basic thing on how to chant offenselessly, we will not really advance much. We can go to a certain level, but beyond that, we won't be able to go. And then Prabhupada quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita, like, Yahara Komala Shraddha se kanishta jana, krame karme teno bhakta hayebe uttama. That one, a Kanishta Adhikari is known by his weak faith. The Shraddha is really, really weak. And as he keeps progressing and as his faith keeps increasing, then he comes to the platform of Uttama. So you see that the distinction factor is what? Shraddha. Yahar koma Shraddha. Se kanishta jana. Krame krame teno bhakta hayebe uttama. That one whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte. But by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first-class devotee. Anandita, you have a question?
Hey Krishna, Pranam Mataji, Pranam to all devotees. Mataji, thank you so much for clarifying the Brahman Diksha part, because oftentimes it becomes somewhat confusing when we read the translation and the purport. So thank you for bringing up this. And you have just mentioned that one should take Brahman initiation, at least one comes to the point of Nishtha.
So, that is what that is being mentioned here by Prabhupada. But at the same time, it is understood, like, normally that, okay, you've been chanting for a few years, you've been initiated, you would have come to the level of Nishtha by now. But it's quite possible that a lot of people may not have come to the point of Nishtha. One can remain a Kanishta for 40 years. So it's not determined by time, it is determined by the sincerity of a practitioner. So in case one is not a Madhyamadhikari, and even then the Gayatri is given because Gayatri is very helpful to stabilize a person's sadhana. It helps a person to become more fixed. Now you can ask a question.
No, thank you, Mataji. So this is what the same related text was also in ESO, and Maharaj also, has also explained. And oftentimes I used to think that generally people have this, devotees have this tendencies that, oh, they have done their Bhakti Sastri, now they are eligible for Brahman Diksha. So this is what many people does it. And personally speaking, I don't have any of such things as of now, because what I feel that I've heard from my Guru Maharaj in one of the classes also, that in Kali Yuga, whatever you do from the mental, whatever aparadha you do from mind, it does not give you any effect unless you process it with your mansa vacha, so, karmana and vacha. But when you are Brahman Dikshit, then this karma is going to be credited in your account, even if you do from your mind. So this is quite very heavy, because my mind is so polluted that even if I don't want, but things are going into. And this is what something I just took it very strictly, that I have to, until and unless I can have this quality, I won't ask for Brahman Diksha. But quite often, your seniors, maybe, yes, they know you from years. But how to understand if your guru or your seniors tell you to take Brahman Diksha and you are not personally ready for it because you know that you are not qualified?
Thank you. There are various things that I want to say. First of all, Maharaj said it in front of you, this statement?
Yeah, in front of the class. He said, no, Maharaj, sorry. My Guru Maharaj was giving one class in Mayapur. I heard it. The
So he
mind.
said
And
this. What was the context?
somebody asked a question that when we do, the same question was asked, that when we do any aparadha from mind in Kali Yuga, we don't get the credit. So kindly explain it. Then Guru Maharaj said, yes, it's true, but when you're Brahman Diksha, then you will get the credit of that.
So, because when if Maharaj is saying that, that must be the truth. So, but I have not heard this. I have not heard this part, so I cannot really comment.
I've asked His Holiness Bhakti Vaibhav Maharaj, who took our
Bhakti Prabhav Maharaj.
Yeah, and he also said, well, it's true. Then the same question I asked, that what is the eligibility point? Because he also mentioned that one must be on the level of Nishtha to get initiated. Then what is the level? Then he said, yeah, it's true that one who is on the level of Nishtha, they are eligible to take Brahman initiation. But if Guru or your senior sees that you can take, then this Brahman Diksha helps you to progress very fast.
Yeah.
So this can be a very helpful benchmark. So you don't get into those so many things. Your seniors, or like what I understood, your seniors, and obviously my Guru Maharaj will not come to me. Obviously, one-to-one.
That was my point, because I have not heard this version that mental offense is counted if you do, if you take Brahman Diksha. I have not heard this part. But the other part I know for sure, that if a guru recommends and guru says take Brahman Diksha, or your seniors feel that you should, I personally feel that Gayatri is extremely powerful to fix you in spiritual life. It fixes you. But again, the motivation has to be correct. A lot of time people take Brahman initiation because it's so prestigious to go on the altar. It is, the whole world can say, oh, you're a Brahmana. So a lot of times the motivation may not be correct. And when the motivation is not right, it doesn't help. These Krishna consciousness is extremely scientific, and we cannot cheat Krishna. These two things we have to know for sure. Scientific because it works in a certain way. You can't really make it work any other way. And second, if we think that we can take initiation with any motivation and we are going to get the benefit, it doesn't work. The motivation has to be correct. Motivation has to be the right motivation.
Yes, Mataji. So the same thing that Prabhupada wrote in the beginning, that everything depends on the attitude of the follower.
Everything. This is the science of Krishna consciousness, and this is the secret of Krishna consciousness.
True, Mataji. So, Mataji, the deity service part is also another part of Brahman Diksha. Though for the Gaunita, it has been said that anyone who chants 16 rounds, they can worship. But yeah, when you are a Brahman initiated, then you should do the deity worship. So
it's not should. It's not should. It's not should.
Okay. Isn't it?
No, it's not should. Actually, there is Gayatri is to help you becoming more fixed in Krishna consciousness. It helps you to chant your rounds with more attention. It because it also helps as a purifying agent. It helps you to establish your sambandha and abhidya and prayojan. So, but if somebody is not interested or much inclined to deity worship, one doesn't have to.
Okay.
There is nothing called, yes, it makes you eligible to worship deities, but one doesn't have to.
Okay, so why did I ask? There is no problem. I have one Gopal deity from very big, from many years, and after my marriage. So I am serving, but for Gaunita, I think that there will be aparan from one of the member of my family if I worship them, because she doesn't consider them Krishna and Balram. And if some devotee give me to serve, then she always asks me, first day she will ask me, why did you put them there? Then she doesn't tell, even if they are with me for a month. It happened that the deities were with me for a month and she didn't say anything. Even I have bathed them and dressed them also. So what I think, when these deities will come permanently to my house, then she will make issues. So this is my only concern. Otherwise, I'm not.
So practically, you can see if it works, it works. It doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we don't have to create a whole ruckus just because we have been Brahman initiated and now we have to get deities. You can see, and if you really have a desire to worship them, you can pray to them that I really have a desire to worship you, but my situation. So you are present as a super soul in their heart, in everyone's heart. And for you, it takes like a moment to switch anything or everything. So I really want to worship you. So please make arrangements so I can worship you. So if you have a strong desire, then you can pray. Otherwise, if you don't have a strong desire, you're happy worshiping your Gopal, continue worshiping your Gopal.
Yes, Mataji. I do have a desire, but yeah, obviously, I will discuss with my Siksha Guru and obviously my Guru Maharaj also, if this comes up in future. And another thing I've heard from His Holiness Bhakti Ashram Maharaj recently, I think in Gurgaon or somewhere he was giving the class, and he also he mentioned regarding one of the points regarding Brahman Diksha, that for chanting Gayatri 3 times, one should take bath 3 times a day. Then he is eligible to take. Then he should chant.
That is for brahmacharis or the ones who are in like renounced order. But in case of grihasthas, they can take part twice and it's okay.
Okay, fine. So he was.
Because if you're going to work, if you are working, you're going to work. How are you going to take bath?
True.
And does it mean that till the time you don't retire, you cannot take Gayatri? No.
Okay, then he must be speaking for the renounced and the brahmacharis.
Yeah, for brahmacharis, yes, that is there. And you'll see a lot of brahmacharis, they follow it very strictly.
Yeah. So the shloka was only on that. I don't remember exactly, but yahi tha ki, as soon as they took the bath in the holy river, he chanted that his Gayatri. Then he mentioned that this is the purest time and form of chanting Gayatri, even if you have not put up tilak and all.
Yeah.
Then, okay, Mataji, fine, I understood. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, so we are reading the Krishna.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam.
I have few questions, and few questions have come up while the discussion was going on. Mataji, Brahman Diksha, is it a compulsion for average corn devotee? Because after few years spending some time, we feel I feel a peer pressure, no, आसपास वाले सब लोगों ने ले लिया. Or is it a person, like, is it compulsion for going back home to Godhead?
No, it is not a compulsion for going back home, back to Godhead. It is not a compulsion, but it helps. We need the holy name to go back home, back to Godhead. But a lot of us are not able to really chant the holy name the way we are supposed to. And in that case, Gayatri helps.
Okay. And Mati, how we deal with such a, after spending many years, all the when your friends have taken it, and we feel that, or I feel that I'm not yet qualified, or I don't want to take it, I'm not ready.
Yeah, that question even Anindita was saying. So my counter question is, do you think you're eligible to take the holy name initiation?
No, I feel it is a mercy which is
Yeah, so
given
why did you take it?
to go back to achieve the
Same,
perfection.
same with Gayatri. One has to come to this platform that we will never be eligible for anything. We don't have any adhikar. We're really fallen. Our only adhikar is mercy.
Okay, in that way.
So don't get mental about am I qualified, not qualified. If your guru or your senior wants you to take and you don't have any reservation about it, you should take it. It helps.
Okay, okay. And Mataji, in ISKCON, we follow this standard. To worship the deities, one should be a Brahman initiated. But there are a lot of people who have deities, Laddu Gopal, in the houses without following any standards or without understanding the standards which we follow. And as we preach to new people, they already have some deity in the house. So, from our angle, from our vision, are they committing an offense to worship deities?
One, you have to understand that temple worship is very different from home worship. The
Mhm.
standards are very different in temple compared to home worship. Home worship is a lot more simpler. And I heard recently that in the temple worship, a devotee adjusts according to the Lord, and for home worship, the Lord adjusts according to the devotee. So he knows that we are really fallen and we are trying to serve, so he adjusts that okay, whatever you're doing. Temple worship is done with full Pancharatrika Vidhi and it is very strict. So that is why even when we get deities, a lot of times the spiritual master tells us that don't keep that worship very simple. You don't have to do the temple standards at home. Just keep it very simple. The idea for home worship is that we develop this desire to serve Krishna. We develop this mood to serve Krishna. That is the purpose of deity worship at home. That somehow we become connected and we develop this desire to serve him.
So can we keep deities without being Brahman initiated?
We can keep Gonetai, and a lot of people have Gonetai before they become Brahman initiated. But before you bring deities, you must discuss it with your seniors or people you're taking guidance from. You must discuss it with them because they are familiar with your psychophysical nature and they're also familiar with your situation, so they can actually advise you properly what you should do, what you should not do. So don't be in a hurry to get the deities. First, discuss it, understand what it involves, what kind of commitment deity worship involves. Am I willing to make that commitment or not? So do that. So that is the thing. And when we preach to other people and they may not be following any standards, it's okay. Krishna is, after all, Bhavgrahi Janardhan. He is not Pancharatrika Vidhi Janardhan, In the temple, we do it because we want to become disciplined. We want to, show him by our actions. And also because ours is a preaching movement, we want to establish the standards. But ultimately, even Pancharatrika Vidhi, you can do, all kind of elaborate arrangements. But if the bhav is not there, Krishna is not really pleased. So with the people who are outsiders, who are not devotees, we can't really say how they're worshipping, what the bhav is. Sometimes they may have more attachment to the deities than is visible. So I'm reminded of that story of Jagannath, that when Pundarik Vidyanidhi went, even I think Ramanujacharya also, I think both of them, their incidents, they went to Jagannath and they saw that these, pujaris who were serving Jagannath were eating meat and not like really following any, cleanliness standards. So I think Ramanujacharya went and preached that, what this is not proper standard. The proper standard is this. So next day, Jagannath came in his dream and said, "Why are you interfering in this relationship between me and my devotees? You take your Pancharatrika Vidhi and leave. Don't come back to Puri." So, we don't know. So, but we tell them that if you are worshipping the deities, try to maintain certain standards. Don't make it too difficult for them that they can't follow, or they start looking at it as a burden. Just you can give them very simple standards that, worship them after you've taken bath, after, whole cleaning is done. And you can just give them and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times, offer bhoga to them. Don't give them any elaborate standards, so that, they can come to the platform of appreciating what they need to do. So even with Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the same thing happened. He went and he saw the devotees of Jagannath. They were wearing crisp silk, dhotis, which were not washed before. So he went and said, "How can you do this? This is an offense. How can you wear, silk dhotis which are not washed and serve the deity? This is an offense." So at night, Jagannath slapped him so hard that he actually went back to where he had come from. And Jagannath said, "They are worshipping me. I'm accepting their worship. Who are you to interfere?" So I'm not saying that we let people keep doing what they are doing, but at the same time, we must be, aware of the fact that there may be a real heart connection there. So if we have to give them anything, we give them very simple standards. Don't make it too complicated for them. And if they have a deity, they might as well serve. So we should not even tell them, "Oh, you're not chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how are you serving?" The deity is used to some service, so it is better that the service continues.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. It really helps helps a lot. And Mataji, one more thing which you just said, that we when we go to approach Guru, we should ask, how can I advance spiritually?
Or how can I serve? Because that is also part of advancement.
How can I serve? But Mataji, when we meet spiritual master, though it's very few times or very less, as being the situation of ISKCON, sometimes we share our personal situations, personal feelings, or any big decision that we are taking up in our personal life. So is that incorrect for a disciple?
Like I said, that some of these decisions impact our spiritual life, so we can ask the spiritual master about them, but that should not be all. Like every time I go to meet my spiritual master, I go and ask him, "Maharaj, should I take this job? Maharaj, should I do this? Maharaj, should I do that?" No. It can be part of the conversation, but our focus should be asking how I can progress or how I can serve.
Okay.
We need to clarify these questions also, because they do impact our spiritual life, but that should not be the only thing we ask.
Understood. Mati.
Yeah.
And Mati, one last. When we say in this verse, to pay respect to one who is initiated. So, what's our dealing for those who are initiated outside ISKCON, in other Vaishnava Sampradaya plus Mayavad Sampradayas?
See, the thing is, first of all, we have to understand, Prabhupada actually in one of the morning walks, he was going with his disciples, and a Mayavadi sannyasi was walking by, and the disciples didn't pay respect. They didn't bow down and pay obeisances. And Prabhupada got angry. He said he's a sannyasi. Even if he's a Mayavadi, you should be paying obeisances. So, first of all, our principle is respecting every jiva. We don't disrespect anybody. That is not our principle. So just because Krishna is present in the heart of every jiva, we respect each and every jiva. So we don't disrespect anybody. Then second of all, if the person is initiated in a bona fide sampradaya, we pay respects. Because nowhere does Rupa Goswami said that only people coming in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sampradaya should be respected. Initiation from bona fide sampradaya is accepted. And you'll see that even our ISKCON gurus respected so much that if somebody, if say they are initiated from Sri Sampradaya, and they approach one of the gurus in ISKCON that I want to take initiation, most of the times they don't initiate. That you are already initiated in a bona fide Sampradaya. Why do you want to take initiation again? You understand?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
our respect is not,
Qualified Sampradaya.
it is not only for people from ISKCON, even outsiders you can respect. And the Mayavadis, we don't really, pay them obeisances, but we don't hate them, we just stay away from them. See, compassion is shown to different people in different ways. Compassion is not only to help them, to give, by telling them about Krishna. That is not the only compassion. Compassion to an envious or a Mayavadi is shown by ignoring them. How? Because if you tell them about Krishna, they are going to become offensive. They're going to say things which are going to drag them down further. So you do not allow them to speak negatively about Krishna. So how do we deal with them? Dur se namaste. Okay. That's how we deal with them. We don't, ignoring someone can also be an act of compassion. Because if you know that if you tell them about Krishna, they are going to become offensive or they're going to say things which are not good, then they are going to be dragged down. So don't just think that, going and preaching is the only way to show compassion.
Mataji, when we see the life of Srila Prabhupada ji, or read Lilamrita, that a lot of time Prabhupada, whenever meets a Mayavadi or impersist, he used to cut him down.
Yeah.
It is said that we should be lion outside and lamb inside. So
But we also need to see our level of advancement. See, Prabhupada is an Uttam Adhikari, he's a Mahabhagavat. So we see that faith and knowledge of a Mahabhagavat is incomparable. They can deal with anybody and their faith doesn't get shaken. But when we have weak faith, our first responsibility is to protect that faith, that Shraddha that keeps us going in spiritual life. Some of these Mayavadis, if you heard their comments and their arguments, you will start doubting Krishna consciousness. They are so pakka. You start doubting everything because our faith is not so strong. We may think we are very strong, but if you once hear a proper Mayavadi, all your strength will go away.
okay.
So they are so pakka. So we avoid them till the time we reach the platform of Uttam Adhikari. We just stay away. Okay.
Okay.
For many reasons. First, we are wanting to protect our faith, and second, because we won't be able to defeat them. So why waste time?
So
we just
we
stay
can
away.
stay away.
Yeah, a lot of times, even when you're preaching, even in standing in the temple, such people, you come across such people who'll just keep arguing unnecessarily. So you just say Hare Krishna and okay, please leave me because I won't be able to convince you. I don't have time to waste.
Okay. And Mataji, one of a member of our group, he was in ISKCON, but then he later on he took initiation from Sri Sampradaya. Now
From
they
which
have asked
Sampradaya?
Sri Sampradaya.
Sri Sampradaya. Okay.
So now he is chanting a different mantra, not Hare Krishna Mahamantra he chants. So is it that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only mantra to go back to Godhead?
And see, if in a bona fide sampradaya he receives a mantra, then that is a mantra for him.
Okay.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sampradaya, he has given us this mantra, so that this is a mantra for us.
Oh, okay.
We don't consider it like this, that, oh, he should be chanting this mantra. How is he going back home, back to Godhead? That's for their acharyas to see how to take them back. Is that
Oh,
okay?
okay. Yes, yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Anandita?
This Mayavadis are always a very big and non-ending topic. Mataji, one who are the followers of demigods, because they generally have their tendency, idea that all the demigods and Krishna and Ram all are equal. So they are also Mayavadis.
They are not Mayavadis. They are demigod worshippers who have attachment to getting quick sense gratification. And some of them may just be demigod worshippers because they have no idea what's the right thing to do.
True.
All of us, most of us, before we came to ISKCON, were probably demigod worshippers. Because we had no idea. That's what we saw, that, okay, in our family, this was the tradition. We just continue with the tradition without really realizing why we worshipping whom and why. Right? So it could be just that they're innocent. They have no clue what bhakti is all about.
So Mataji, okay, I got it. So they are demigod worshippers. They are not Mayavadis. And this, there are
They
so many
could be
sects.
Mayavadis also, but
Could
just because
be,
they're demigod worshippers doesn't categorize them as Mayavadis.
Can we say that even if they hear about the facts, when we present them the facts that the Krishna, Rama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we present to them and if they don't accept it, they go on with their own ideas, then can we categorize them as Mayavadis?
No.
I'm not saying
No.
like that.
No. Because they may have deep attachment to worshipping a certain demigod. That's where their faith is placed. And they don't want to switch it because that's where the faith is. There are different kind of people with different kind of faiths. So just because they have faith in demigods, they don't become Mayavadis. Mayavadi, the simple understanding is a Mayavadi is a person who thinks that we can become Krishna after we are liberated. That there's no difference between Krishna and us. Or even sometimes Prabhupada even calls Nirakarvadis as Mayavadis, that those who do not believe in the physical form of Krishna.
Yeah, but that category, I have asked His Grace Kamaloshan Prabhu, because these two terms have been used very interchangeably in so many purports.
Because
Then
it's a khichdivad nowadays. There's nobody who's a pure Nirakarvadi, and there's nobody who's like a pure Mayavadi. There's like a khichdi going on.
True.
So,
then he said, he gave some points, like one who is totally impersonalist, who believes in the Prakash form. They are impersonal, but Mayavadis are like they are
offenders.
Yeah, they are offenders, and they have mixed everything. So, Mother Mataji, there are so many sects, not to name because this is recording live. And so now, and there are so many sects. One who is saying that, our guru, are the, such and such demigod, or Lord Shiva, or Bhagwan. You have to go through him, ultimately reach to him. There are so many sects. They are chanting Ram, but there is no Ram's picture in their ashram. And there are so many other things. I know I have heard for many. So are they all Mayavadis? Because they are not accepting the authorities of even impersonal Brahman also. They are thinking themselves as God. Or their guru will deliver them.
If there's some thinking of themselves as God, they are Mayavadis. But there could be many so-called non-bona fide sects which don't follow anything bona fide, but they have just come up with some mental concoction to gather followers and gather Lakshmi. That's it. Their purpose in life is very clear. So some of them may have no philosophy at all. They don't have any belief at all. Their only motivation is how to collect followers and how to collect money. So different kind of people. And just coming back to the impersonalist, like you were saying, Kamalochan Prabhu, even Prabhupada says that a pure impersonalist is actually known as a Brahmavadi. He is considered as a transcendentalist because he at least believes in some form of Krishna. He believes in the Brahma Jyoti, or impersonal form of Krishna. So he is considered as a transcendentalist. But since there is no pure Nirakarvadi, or maybe like very few, so that's why Prabhupada clubs these two categories of Mayavad and Nirakarvad.
Yes, actually, what I think is like there are so many texts. One who understands themselves, my guru can deliver. My guru is the physical form of Lord Shiva, Falana Dhimka,
It doesn't matter,
So
because if it is not coming in a bona fide sampradaya, they can go on believing whatever they feel like. It's of no significance. They can believe that there's a dot which will take us back. They could believe whatever. How does it matter?
But they are very strict in. I am very surprised that they are very strict in following four ranks, and they are the cleaning and the purity of mind from these perspectives. They are doing very good. Even if, like, I see that many devotees, even including me, I'm not judging anybody, but we have it take years to come to that level, even from thinking from the mind also. But these persons are very practicing very nicely.
That's good.
So in that sense,
Yeah,
what's
like,
the destination? What's the destination then?
see, there's this verse in Bhagavatam, I think it's 5:18-12. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. So in that it is said that a person who's actually worshipping Krishna has all the good qualities, but a person, he may be very good in his conduct, but if he's not a devotee, there are no good qualities. So a lot of times we may meet some outsiders who may have all the, many of the Vaishnava qualities out of the 26. But like the Acharyas say, that the Swarup Lakshan of all those 26 qualities is surrender to Krishna. If the surrender to Krishna is not there, those Vaishnava qualities don't really mean much. You could have all other 25 qualities, but if the surrender is not there, no significance. So according to their karma, they'll have a destination, because if there is no bhakti, there is no transcendental destination.
Thank you for reminding us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Kanchan Varna, okay, we need to move on. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
As you mentioned this statement, I heard it for the first time that compassion also means not preaching is also compassion. So I was having recently this question. I think, is it my right understanding that Lord Chaitanya, when it comes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya, that Lord Chaitanya was not preaching to, Lord Chaitanya did not preach to Navadvip the way he preached in South India. So was it the reason that those were all like
The many reasons that Lord Chaitanya did not preach in Navadvip. First of all, in Navadvip, people wouldn't have really taken him seriously, because they had known him since childhood. So, like, if you try preaching to your family members, it's the most difficult thing to do. You can go on preaching to others, but your family members don't take you seriously, So that is one reason. And second of all, Mahaprabhu was here only for 48 years, and he also, the external reason for his advent was preaching, but internal reason was that he wanted to taste the mellows. So that's why he deputed Nityanand Prabhu to go and preach in Navadvip, because he wanted to spend his time in Jagannath Puri to actually taste the internal reason for which he came.
Okay, Mataji. Mataji, another question related to second initiation. For myself, if I think I'm not ready and I don't have such inclination for deity worship, but maybe it is because of my neophyte stage. But I feel that if I want to take my second initiation, I want to take it from my spiritual master. But if I have to wait for many years, there could be possibility that I will not be able to take from him.
Yeah, my question again to you, Kanchan Varna, is that you are not eligible. Were you eligible for the holy name initiation?
No, I'm not saying eligible. Obviously, I agree that I was
Not
not eligible
eligible.
for that.
Second of all, second initiation does not mean that you have to worship deities. You are eligible to worship deities, but you don't have to. Just like second initiation for women does not mean that you have to go to the deity kitchen. It's not have to. You are eligible to. So it is your desire. I'll give you my example. My Guru Maharaj never told me even once to go to the deity kitchen. You know, when he initiated, gave me the second initiation, his only instruction to me was preach. Not even once did he say that, even to my husband, he never even said once that you go and do deity worship. He said, just preach. So, regarding that, I am not ready, is no argument. You will never be ready. You know, how do you determine if you're ready for Gayatri or not? What is the benchmark? How do you really determine? You're not ready to progress? You're not ready to make advancement? So, this argument does not hold.
So Mataji, having this desire in my mind that I want to take second initiation from my spiritual master only, is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine. Why not? I have a connection with my spiritual master. I want to take Gayatri from him. Absolutely.
But it might turn out to be that why you are in such a hurry, why you want to take it now.
Turn out from whom? From your counselor or from your spiritual master?
No. If I like
You can ask the
proceed
spiritual master directly, Maharaj, I want to take second initiation. Should I wait or should I take? And he will tell you. He will tell you that, okay, you can take or you can wait. And then do as he says, because that's the best situation for you. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. One point I would like to add, if you allow, Dandatna Mataji.
Done.
As we are discussing about second level of initiation, so recently I heard in the lecture of His Grace Bimla Prasad Prabhuji. So actually, he gave the Gayatri courses in this ISKCON, basically in most of the temple. So first question he asked from many of the devotees who were doing the Gayatri or who were present in that class. So he mentioned that what is the main purpose of second initiation, why you took. There were many Brahma initiation devotee present in that particular class. So they straightforward said that to do deity worship. So many of the devotees said such things, but Prabhuji corrected them that the second initiation is basically is not for serving the Lord. It is for to show more advancement, to bring more sincerity in the bhakti. Otherwise this mind plays with us and it will keep on saying, no, I'm not eligible, I'm not eligible. And people also say that this is not your right age to take that second initiation.
But what
So
is the right age to make advancement? I really need to know that.
one, if want to cultivate the more seriousness, then that particular person can
How's,
go.
yeah, how's age even concerned with that?
Rest of the other people can say such comment that
Huh.
this is not your right age to take it ahead, or are you want to go to the Riti kitchen to serve, to prepare the bhogas, or because Matajis are not going to do the puja in the pujari the role, they will not going to play, but only the Riti, they can make bhogs. Okay, so but Prabhuji corrected that second initiation is just to bring more and more sincerity and to
Yes.
get more attached to the Lord.
Of course. All the mantras are about Sambandha, Abhidya, and Prayojan. All the Gayatri mantras are about that. It is not about deity worship. It is not about cooking in the kitchen. And from my example, I can tell you, my Guru Maharaj never even once said, go to the deity kitchen. He didn't tell my husband, go for deity worship. All he said, no, just preach. So how do we justify that? Guru knows, right? What is Gayatri for?
Yes, Mataji.
So if he did not instruct us like that, then that means it is not necessary. If you want, you can do it, but that is not the criteria. Right? Some disciple looking at their psychophysical nature, he may instruct that go to the deity kitchen because he feels that by doing that service you'll progress. But that is not a must for everyone. Looking at the psychophysical nature of a disciple, the Guru instructs.
Yes,
Is
Mataji.
that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, the Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in the Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on the beats. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen. According to his calculation, practically every one of us is fallen. But because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's famous as Patita Pavan, the deliverer of the fallen. So Prabhupada made this concession for us, 16 rounds. Even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that Mahaprabhu says that I eat in the house of a Lakpati, a person who's chanting 64 rounds. But Prabhupada made this concession because he said that, first of all, as Kali Yuga is progressing, our minds are so agitated and, times are so difficult that it is not easy for everyone to chant 64 rounds. And also because Prabhupada really wanted to spread this movement. And he said that, okay, if you're preaching, you're doing deity worship, you're doing other services, then you can chant 16 rounds. So we should not take it as a fact that, oh, we are supposed to just chant 16 rounds and do nothing. It is a conditional thing that we are supposed to chant more rounds, but if we are so occupied that we are trying to serve the Lord in many other ways with all seriousness, then 16 rounds is okay to chant. And that's why Prabhupada gave this number. And Prabhupada says, if one hears a person even once the word Krishna, that person should be accepted as the best man out of the common group. Then he quotes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Atay Vayantra Mukhe Eka Krishna Nam Seita Vaishnava Kariha Tana Samman. One who's interested in chanting the holy name of Krishna, or who by practice likes to chant Krishna's names, should be accepted as a Vaishnava and offered respects as such, at least within one's mind. So we see anybody who's inclined to chant the holy name, we respect them. That, he's willing to chant the holy name. He's willing to come close to Krishna. And we also remember that whole instance of Dhruva Maharaj and his stepmother, Suruchi. That, when Dhruva Maharaj became a Vaishnava, she got the result of that offense. So today, somebody may have started chanting the holy name. Maybe they are willing to chant only once, but we don't know what their trajectory is going to be. So if we treat them with disrespect, it can become Vaishnava offense once they advance. So respect is the basic principle in Vaishnava philosophy. If we respect, there'll be no offense. If we respect the holy name, we won't offend the holy name. If we respect the Vaishnavas, we won't offend the Vaishnavas. If we respect Jivas, there'll be no Jiva Aprad. If we respect Dham, there'll be no Dham Aprad. Or the bottom line for all offense is disrespect. Okay, then Prabhupada says, the conclusion is that anyone who's trying to advance in Krishna consciousness by regularly chanting the holy name should always be respected by Vaishnavas. On the other hand, we have witnessed that some of our contemporaries who are supposed to be great preachers have gradually fallen into the material conception of life because they have failed to chant the holy name of the Lord. So he's saying that if somebody is trying to chant the holy name, it's a big thing. Maya is extremely strong. If somebody is trying to chant holy name, we must respect them because they are trying to fight Maya. And then Prabhupada says, while giving instructions to Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided devotional service into 3 categories. Shastra Yukti Nahi Jane Drid Shraddhavan Madhyam Adhikari Se Mahabhagyavan. A person whose conclusive knowledge of the Shastras is not very strong, but who has developed firm faith in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and who's also undeterred in the execution of his prescribed devotional service, should be considered a Madhyam Adhikari. Such a person is very fortunate. So this person may not be very great in Shastra knowledge like a Mahabhagavat or Uttam Adhikari, but he has firm faith in chanting the holy name. And he goes on with his prescribed devotional service without fail, without any break. So such a person can be considered as Madhyamadikari, and to come to that level of faith is considered very fortunate. And that's why Prabhupada in some places he says that, okay, if you may not be able to advance quite a bit in this lifetime, but at least reach the Nishtha platform, at least reach the level of Madhyamadikari. Try, that should be your first goal, that I need to reach Nishtha. I need to come to the platform of Madhyamadikari. Because such a person, if he's become fixed, then even if he doesn't get success in this life, he will definitely get a very wonderful opportunity in the next life to finish the business. Then Prabhupada says, a Madhyamadikari is a Shraddhavan, a staunchly faithful person, and he is actually a candidate for further advancement in devotional service. Therefore, in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Shraddhavan Janahaya Bhakti Adhikari Uttam Madhyam Kanishta Shraddha Anusari. That it is the level of Shraddha which determines what level one is at. Whether one is a neophyte, one is a Madhyama, or one is a Uttama. It is actually, Shraddha is the determining factor. And then Prabhupada says, he gives a translation, one becomes qualified as a devotee on the elementary platform, the intermediate platform, and the highest platform of devotional service according to the development of his Shraddha. And then he says, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kaya Sudreda Nishchay, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krithai. That one must have this full faith that only by Krishna Bhakti I can actually get all success. One must have this faith. By rendering transcendental service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. This confident, firm faith favorable to the discharge of devotional service is called Shraddha. Shraddha, faith in Krishna, is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Faith means strong faith. So, very, very important that one must place one's full faith in the process of bhakti and in bhakti itself. We should not think that, oh, I need to take help from this and I need to take help from that. And that's how I can actually become fixed. No, if we have full faith in the process of bhakti, that is our sadhana, that is our sadhya. Okay, then Prabhupada says Shraddha means, and he says what does Shraddha practically means? What's the working principle? Shraddha means accepting the instructions of Bhagavad Gita in their totality, not just pick and choose. Oh, I like this instruction, let me do this, but I don't like that instruction, I won't do this. In totality. Especially the last instruction, Sarv Dharman Paritajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. When one becomes completely faithful in regard to this instruction, one's strong faith becomes the basis for advancing in spiritual life. And Prabhupada says, when one fully engages in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. This is a realization which happens organically. We don't have to really impose any other kind of realization. By chanting as Cheto Darpan Marjana happens, this realization will organically develop in the heart. Prabhupada says, unless one faithfully chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. Sevan mukhehi jivado swayam eva spurati ada. We cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any artificial means. We must engage faithfully in the service of the Lord. And such service begin with the tongue. Sevan mukhehi jivado. So how can the tongue do this? By always trying to chant the holy name and only accepting Krishna Prasad. There are only two functions of the tongues, tasting and speaking. So both these functions must be Krishna conscious. Only Prasad and chanting the holy name. And then Prabhupada says we should not chant or accept anything else, like no other food should we accept. And we should not even try to chant any other mantra. When this process is faithfully followed, the Supreme Lord reveals himself to the devotee. The Supreme Lord will reveal himself. We don't have to do anything artificially. Krishna sitting in the heart as Paramatma will reveal who he is and what's our relationship with him. When a person realizes himself to be an eternal servitor of Krishna, he loses interest in everything but Krishna's service. Always thinking of Krishna, devising means by which to spread the holy name of Krishna, he understands that his only business is in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Why is our only business spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world? Why do we consider that as our only business?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. That's Chaitanya Prabhu's order, Pichvityache.
Yeah,
Guru
that's
Bhaya.
that's order of both Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that whoever gives this knowledge to others is the dearest to me, dearmost to me, and nobody else can ever become as dear. So, and Mahaprabhu also says, so that's why we have to understand that our only business is in spreading of Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Now, this does not mean that all of us have to become preachers. We can spread the holy name of the Lord in many ways, just by acting like a devotee. A lot of preaching happens by our actions. We may be speaking wonderful philosophical truth, but if we don't act, if we don't practice what we speak, it doesn't really have much impact. So whoever is capable of doing whatever, they should do that to spread Krishna consciousness movement. If you can't actively preach, then help the preaching movement in whichever way you can. Then Prabhupada says, such a person is to be recognized as an Uttamadhikari because he's always thinking that how to spread the movement. He knows the heart of the Lord. Uttamadhikari knows what's in Lord's heart. Krishna wants everyone to come back to him. So he is taking up this burden on his head. This is a burden of love. That, this is Krishna's desire. I'm going to try whatever to help him achieve this. So this is the mood of our Uttamadhikari. So that's why he's always thinking how to preach, how to spread the movement. So that's why Prabhupada is saying such a person is to be recognized as an Uttamadhikari. Why? Because he knows the heart of the Lord, just like Rupa Goswami knows the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam. Right? So then Prabhupada says, and his association should be immediately accepted according to the 6 processes. So what we learned in the verse before, those 6 loving exchanges, they should be immediately practiced with the person who is at the Uttamadhikari level. Indeed, the advanced Uttamadhikari Vaishnava devotee should be accepted as a spiritual master. Everything one possesses should be offered to him, for it is enjoined that one should deliver whatever he has to the spiritual master. This is surrender. That, if my Guru Maharaj tomorrow tells me that whatever you own, give it to me, are we at that level? If we are not, then we should try to come to that level. And then Prabhupada says in this verse, he summarizes, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Uttamadhikari. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. So no pure devotee syndrome. Just act who you are and what you are. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttamadhikari Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. So you see that in case of even Prabhupada, he brought about a whole revolution single-handedly. Single-handedly he made everyone a devotee. So then Prabhupada says one should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttamadhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, as it should be understood that they cannot advance very well towards the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. That if the Guru is a Kanishtadhikari, how can a disciple go beyond Kanishta? And if the Guru is a Madhyamadhikari, how can a disciple go beyond Madhyam? So that's what Prabhupada is saying here. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttamadhikari as a spiritual master. Okay, so let's start text 6 unless and until someone has a pressing question. Okay, so I'm going to chant this verse and somebody can read the translation. Drishte svabhava janite vapuchastadoshe na prakatatvamiha bhakta janasya pashet gangam bhasam na khalu budpudafena pankir brahma dravatvam apagachati niradharme. Somebody please read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from the materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee as having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water.
Yeah, so in verse number 4, we heard about 6 loving exchanges. In verse number 5, we heard about the differentiation in different levels of devotees. And verse number 6, now Rupa Goswami is instructing us that once you have figured that who's a pure devotee, then how should we deal with such a devotee? How should we associate with such a devotee? What should be our mentality? And that is what he's making clear from this verse. So Prabhupada says, Shuddha Bhakti, the activity of the soul proper, in other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is performed in a liberated condition. And then he quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Mam Jayo Vibhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sa Gunan Samitetan Brahma Bhudyaya Kalpate. That one who engages in full devotional service and who does not fall down in any circumstance at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Avibhicharini bhakti means unalloyed devotion. A person engaged in devotional service must be freed from material motivations. Ahaituki. In this Krishna consciousness movement, one's consciousness must be changed. Very important that don't just keep performing the activities. Change the consciousness, transform the consciousness. That is the key. We just don't make ourselves so busy the whole day we are serving, but we are not even, aware of the fact where our consciousness is. And that is why always remember the advancement of a practitioner depends on his attitude, his consciousness, his mood. If consciousness is aimed towards material enjoyment, it is material consciousness. And if it is aimed towards serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. A lot of times we may be doing activities from outside externally, they seem like Krishna conscious activities. And we may actually fool ourselves by thinking that we are devotees. See, I'm engaged the whole day. I'm doing so much service, But are we really aware for whose pleasure we are doing that service? Are we really conscious why we are doing that service? So that is something which is the key to advancement. To be aware, even if we are coming to this class, why am I coming to this class? Is it to get a degree? Is it to pass an exam? Or is it to know more about Krishna so I can develop deep appreciation for him and develop my relationship with him? Different consciousness will have different results. Okay? A surrendered soul serves Krishna without material considerations. Anya Bilashita
Krishna
Shunya.
Mataji. Mataji,
Yes.
can I ask a question
Yes.
before you go? Mataji, you mentioned that verse 4 is about developing the relationship, and verse 5 is with whom, and the verse 6 is identifying. So how can this happen?
Verse 6 is about that how
not
to
seeing
deal
the
or
defects.
associate with a pure devotee.
So Mataji, my question here is that if you have come to the level of identifying who the persons are on what level, and you are communicating with them and having a relationship with them, after that, how can it happen that we will see any defects and all? This thing should come before, right? Then you will come to the platform of what level they are.
No, you could, even for a spiritual master, you have accepted a spiritual master, right? And then you see that, his body is deformed, or, he has a very dark complexion. He's from certain part of the world, and people may commit offense. that, oh, you know what, look at, this person is not the way he's supposed to be. A lot of people have this. That when you accepted the spiritual master, you did not really think about that, but later on, you heard that, oh, you know what, people who are from so and so place were actually very sinful, and that's why they were born in that region. And if your spiritual master is from that region, you can actually commit an offense by using these bodily designations.
So you mean to explain that it may happen.
It happen.
It may
And that
happen
is
or
why
it
Rupa
will
Goswami,
happen. It may
no,
happen.
it may happen. So that is
Yeah.
why Rupa Goswami is giving us, all the possible instructions so that we don't really end up committing an offense against an pure devotee, because that's like mad elephant offense. Where do you go from there?
True. Thank you.
So basically, the crux of this verse is internal. Don't judge externally. Don't see people externally. How to become internal yourself, and how to see the internal development of another person and not judging them externally. Yeah. So Prabhupada quotes from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Bilashita Shunyam Gyan Karmadya Navritam. And he says, unalloyed devotional service, which is transcendental to the activities of the body and mind, such as Gyan, mental speculation, karma, fruitive work, and is called pure Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the proper activity of the soul, and when one actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotional service, he is already liberated. Krishna's devotee is not subjected to material condition, even though his bodily feature may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. Very important. A lot of time we see people and we make judgments. That we see that in case of Jad Bharat and Raghuvan, he took him as on an external platform. And then when Jad Bharat opened his mouth, he realized that I have been offensive towards this great soul. So externally, we may also judge other people. So we should refrain from this habit or this inclination to judge people externally. A devotee, the safest thing for a devotee is not to come to any conclusion in a hurry. There's no pressure to conclude anything in a hurry. Take your time. Like it said, act in haste and repent in leisure. So rather act in leisure and repent in haste. Yeah. So we should be very careful who we are dealing with, what's really going on here. And if we don't understand, we should pray. Krishna, I don't know what's going on here. Please let me know. I'm a fool. I need very specific guidance. And if Krishna does not respond, we wait. When Krishna will respond, that's when we'll take action. Because we are not sure what's really going on. And Prabhupada says the Kanishta Adhikari cannot distinguish between a devotee and non-devotee. See, Prabhupada is saying that a Kanishta Adhikari cannot really determine. He is simply concerned with worshipping the deity in the temple. He's like really mesmerized by the deity. He thinks, oh, I have connection with the deity. I love the deity. A Madhyamadhikari, however, can distinguish between the devotee and non-devotee, as well as between the devotee and the Lord. Thus, he treats the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee, and the non-devotee in different ways. He knows how to have proper association. He knows how to have proper dealings with different entities, because he knows, he can see the truth as it is. Then Prabhupada quotes from 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Api che suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samadhavya samyak vyavasito hisa. That even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, this is Krishna saying that he should be considered a sadhu, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. If somebody is engaged in devotional service, even if, by accident they do something which is abominable, we don't really criticize them. This is the worst thing that we can do for ourselves. We should understand that they are also struggling with their anarthas. They are not completely purified yet. Or maybe Krishna is trying to teach them a certain lesson. Krishna is personally intervening in their life. So if they are struggling with anartha, how many anarthas are we struggling with? Who are we really to judge them? As long as a person is performing devotional service and is sincerely trying to please his spiritual master by following his instructions, we just back off. We have no business really judging such a person. Our first concern should be to protect our own bhakti and our own shraddha. That should always be the first concern. Then Prabhupada says, even though a pure devotee may not be born in a Brahmana or Goswami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. In actuality, then Prabhupada quotes from his personal experience that in actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswamis based on material considerations, caste, or heredity. The Goswami title is actually the monopoly of the pure devotees. Thus, we speak of the 6 Goswamis headed by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami had practically become Mahamdans and had therefore changed their names to Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself made them Goswamis. Therefore, the Goswami title is not hereditary. Prabhupada is saying this because he saw in his times that so many people were calling themselves Goswamis because they came in the family. And in Bengal, Goswami is actually a last surname, it's a last name. Many people have this name as this is so called Goswami, right? But Goswami means that person must be able, that person must be able to practice the verse 1 of NOI. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, right? That's what Prabhupada is saying. Therefore, Goswami title is not hereditary. The word Goswami refers to one who can control his senses, who's the master of the senses. A devotee is not controlled by the senses, but is the controller of the senses. Consequently, he should be called Swami or Goswami, even though he may not be born in a Goswami family. So Prabhupada, during Prabhupada's time also, a lot of people refused to accept his Western disciples as Vaishnavas. They felt that unless and until you're born in a Brahmana family, you are not really a Vaishnava or you're not really a devotee. So Prabhupada is actually cutting that argument here. That is, it is not hereditary. It is not which family you are born in. It is by what you choose to do with your life. Right? And Prabhupada says, indeed, whether the devotees come from the family of previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here is an American Goswami and discriminate against him. Nor should one think, here is a Nityanand Vamsha Goswami. There is an undercurrent of protest against our awarding the title Goswami to the American Vaishnavas of the Krishna consciousness movement. Sometimes people flatly tell the American devotees that their sannyas or title Goswami is not bona fide. However, according to the statements of Srila Rupa Goswami in this verse, an American Goswami and a Goswami in a family of acharyas are non different, because Rupa Goswami has given this criteria: don't judge externally. It is the internal development of a person which determines what level they are at, not external development. So let me just have a little exercise here. So how do we judge externally? What are some of the ways in which we judge devotees externally?
By their actions, the way they perform in the temple or
By their actions, okay. What else?
Especially happens when these devotees interact, a sense of like he or she has not responded well, or when you have seen some uh, he or she communicating with others, then you feel like, oh, there is a problem.
Okay. Anybody else?
when we share our minds and the thoughts, and then the exchange of thoughts also, it identifies that the person is not at that particular level where we are. I'm not saying that I'm a very high level, but from the exchanging our thoughts but we start judging at that moment also.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so let me give you some examples. Oh, this Prabhu was initiated 20 years back. He's a senior devotee. Do you know he got his Brahman initiation 15 years back? He's been in the movement for 40 years. Or, he has, his congregation has 2,000 people. Do you know he took the yatra to Vrindavan and he took 17 buses? Have you heard these kind of statements? This is actually judging somebody on an external platform. I'm not saying that we are disrespectful, but we have to understand that advancement or senior means one who's advanced in Krishna consciousness. That person could be the one who joined a month back. Don't go by time, because we don't know at what level they left bhakti in their past life. We don't know. We have no idea what level they are at. So don't judge anybody externally. At the same time, when somebody says, oh, he was initiated 20 years back, 30 years back, 40 years back, we respect everyone. But for us, we know that our criteria of judgment is the advancement. I'm not saying that if they're senior, they're not advanced, but our criteria is totally on the advancement, their connection with Krishna, their level of surrender to Guru and Krishna. Is that okay?
Mataji, one example could be on the basis of ashram, one's ashram.
Yeah, very good. He's a sannyasi. A lot of times I see that he's a sannyasi. And sometimes people even discriminate. Oh, you're a grihastha, fallen grihastha. What's your position? This is ashram consideration. This is external. This is not the internal consideration. A grihastha could be much more advanced than a sannyasi, for all you know. If you look at Mahaprabhu's associates, most of them were grihasthas. Advaitacharya was a grihastha, Srivas Thakur was a grihastha, Nityanand Prabhu was a grihastha. So most of his associates were grihasthas. So even on the basis of ashram is also an external consideration. So we should know, we should understand. Sometimes, okay, let me ask a question. There is a grihastha, and now I've given it away actually, there's no point asking. But there is a grihastha disciple of Srila Prabhupada and a sannyasi who's not Srila Prabhupada's disciple. Who will you pay your first respect to? Who will be considered senior?
Both.
If you have to choose, you have to choose whom to garland first.
One is Prabhupada's disciple
Prabhupada
and
disciple.
another is a sannyasi from the same sect or another sect.
Same sect, but not Prabhupada disciple.
Proper disciple.
Of course.
Really?
Sannyasi Mataji.
No, but Prabhupada has said to his disciples, like you mentioned for one of the Mayavadi's example, and when question came that they didn't listen to the brothers, then they said, it's between me and them.
Okay, so did Prabhupada
You
say
are
that,
going to respect them.
did Prabhupada say that you only respect sannyasis but not a grihastha? He said that?
No, no.
So we don't conclude from that statement that, sannyasi has to be respected over a grihastha. That statement is meant that even if a sannyasi is Mayavadi, just because he's renounced everything, we give him respect. That is what's the meaning of that statement. But if there is a Prabhupada disciple and a sannyasi who's not Prabhupada disciple, we first give our respect to Prabhupada disciple. Okay, because he is, at least in terms of years, and he's senior. We have no other way of judging who's senior. So we always give more respect to first Prabhupada disciple and then a sannyasi. And you'll see a lot of people faltering in this. A lot of people will first respect the sannyasi and then Prabhupada disciple sitting on the side. Okay, you could be sitting on the side, but you're not a sannyasi. That is judging externally. Okay?
Mataji, we see that there are some senior devotees, of course, than me. They doubt the success of other senior devotees. And because they cannot ask her or him directly, they have a tendency to ask their members. Then is it a Vaishnava Prad or what?
No, I didn't get your question. Their tendency to ask what from whom?
See, there are somebody has a mentor, right? And
Mentor.
some devotee, yeah, whatever, mentor or whatever. But he or she has a great success in, by way of preaching and people following her or him, right? But some other devotee, she is senior than me, but she has a doubt on the success of that. Is it really true? The numbers are given or whatever way. There are so many instances I've seen her that she's questioning on the success of the senior, one of the senior devotee. And both are senior in the sense. So these doubting souls or devotees, when they, because they know that they cannot ask to directly to that devotee, and they have a tendency to ask to the persons to whom we are associated with. I mean, to समझ गए ना कि जिससे मैं associated हूँ उनसे पूछेंगे directly वहाँ
I understand. First of all, I want to know how's that devotee's business, whether that person collected whatever,
but
followers in whichever way. How's that concern at all? Is she the authority of that person? No. If you're not the authority, it's none of your business. You mind your own business. We have this because we have nothing better to do. So we just like to poke our nose in everybody else's business. So a devotee should understand that this is between Krishna, Guru, and that person. Who am I to really interfere unless and until I have been given that position or that, that responsibility? So you see how you can please your spiritual master. You see how you can serve the movement. Why are you bothered about who's doing what? Unless and until somebody comes to you and complains that, oh, you know what, this Mataji is doing this is wrong. And if you are somehow responsible or you have some influence, then you can get concerned. If you have none, it's better you mind your own business. And if somebody tells you this, that I'm questioning, you can very straightforward say, then you go and question them. I have no idea. If you have such doubts, you go and ask them yourself. I have no idea. Once you say that, twice you say that, third time they won't come to you. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji. So this will also come in the Vaishnava Aparad thing.
We don't care. We don't, it doesn't matter what category it comes in. It doesn't concern us. We don't get embroiled in things which are unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's between Krishna, their guru, and them, whether it's aparad, not aparad, that let Krishna see that. We just worry about that I have a purpose here. I have an agenda here. I need to develop my relationship with the Lord. I need to surrender. That's what I need to be bothered about. I don't have much time. As simple as that. Mukunda Priya?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Pranam. Mataji, I have also one question in that. This is how we are seeing the senior devotees, or we are seeing like how many years of experience they have. But sometimes these people, some people, not all, they project themselves like, okay, मेरे को पता है 15 साल का मैं 15 साल से हूँ, तुम क्या बोल रहे हो मेरे सामने, इस टाइप से. और in that case, if you are not listening to their classes or not attending, so they take it as a like a offense. In that case, what to do?
I don't know what to say. I just hope I don't get in trouble. I don't want to waste my time getting in trouble and explaining my statements. So first of all, if somebody is saying that I am senior or I am advanced, they definitely are not. Because if the real sign of advancement, like Prabhupada says, is one becomes even more humble. And that's what we read, that Uttam Adhikari thinks he is the lowest of the lot. Because the more advanced you are, the more humble you become. And if you have to demand respect, that doesn't really go very far. That you have to tell people that because I'm 15 years old, you must come to my. If people feel inspired, they will come to your class. They don't feel inspired, they won't come to your class. As simple as that.
So, Mataji, they take it as an offense. So, is there any Vaishnava aparadh in this? Like, if I'm not.
See, the thing is, there is no Vaishnava offense, but at the same time, if devotees perceive something as an offense, we should not really do it. If they become agitated by our actions, we should try to avoid those actions. So if you can attend those classes, attend. Or if you can make an excuse that Prabhu, health is not good, I have some other work at that time, I'm not able to come. You can actually get out of any situation if you know how to communicate. One can communicate in a very
Actually,
nice
Mataji,
way.
then they realize that it's all bahana, that we are not going to the. Actually, that happened already in Qatar. Like, most of the program is, for the full week they were discussing on the prasadam, that what prasadam will you have to cook and all these things. And full Friday is off for us. So full Friday, like Thursday, we keep on buying everything, and a whole week we are preparing for only the Friday feast. And the discussion, and we, few of us were not feeling like getting anything from there. So when we have not attended, they have isolated us. So this had happened.
See, one has to be intelligent enough to see how to balance a situation like this. That I'm assuming you're not in India, you are somewhere in Middle East. Because if Friday is off for you, you're probably somewhere in Middle East. So you may not have much association. So you have to see how you want to deal with the situation. If you don't want to associate with that person, you have to find a way to not associate. But then you have to have enough strength to be able to take it if you're sidelined. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We take certain action, then we are sidelined, and we don't have that strength of character or strength of devotion to go on without that, without the whole thing. So don't bring yourself to that situation. First, evaluate where you're at, what you can live with, what you can't live with, sanely in Krishna consciousness, and then take action. I don't know
so इसमें कोई there is no Vaishnava aparadh in that if we
how aparadh comes from disrespect based actually starting from envy. If you're not envious, you're just not wanting to go to that class because you feel that I'm not spiritually advancing or I'm not getting much for my spiritual nourishment and I don't want to spend my time in this class, how is that Vaishnava offense? It's not Vaishnava offense, but at the same time, we should be careful not to agitate others by our actions. So deal in this situation with a lot of take a lot of care. Don't just take any knee-jerk actions. Think about it and think about the consequences of this situation, that if I don't go to the classes, I may be sidelined. I won't have any active sangha. I'll be isolated. So will that be okay for my Krishna consciousness? Will that be okay for my sanity? So you have to take all that into consideration before you arrive at an action plan. Before you come to that action plan, think carefully what it can mean. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, so yes.
Sorry, you were leaving. So I also have a last question. Mataji, should we correct devotees in the temple or not in the temple, maybe outside also, if they are associating with us? For example, just a small example, like as in our Krishna conscious movement, we don't have to mix with the opposite gender, or we don't have to wear such thing where it is relieving our body parts or such things. Or maybe people show that they are very good in their devotion, but by their actions it's look like they are not following the particular practice. Even the mentor also informed them, still they are doing the same thing. Or even the equals also conveyed in the different direction that the better one is to do it, but still they are doing the same thing. Should we correct it? Because many times they did the same thing and they take it, iska to yahi hai, to yahi bolna hai, so let it be, I will do in my way and she will do on her way. So should we associate with those people, or should we correct them or not? Because we correct, and sometimes when I correct, it's like that I'm hurting the Krishna inside her heart or his heart.
Okay, good. Thank you. So there are two criterias for decision making. One is responsibility and other is influence. Do you have a responsibility? Are you their leader? No. But do you have influence? Are they your friend and they're willing to listen? Yes, then you do something about it. If both are no, just mind your own business. Maybe they need to learn certain lessons. Some people learn by hearing, some people learn by seeing, and some people learn by experiencing. So different people learn in different ways and in their own time. We should not expect that, okay, just because I've told you, you should change. We don't know how much baggage they're carrying, and how deep that sanskar is. We don't know that. There may be certain sanskars which are very deep in us, and we are trying, but we're not able to overcome it. So similarly, that person may have a different sanskar. So as long as they are willing to chant and willing to, follow the process, we should be compassionate. We try to tell them this is going to hurt you in your, endeavors to advance. But if they are not ready to make that change, it's okay. Let them be. We accept. We are not judgmental. We accept that, okay, this person is going to make progress in a certain way. Maybe they need to learn a lesson before, from Krishna before they do anything. Maybe they need to experience it. So it's okay. Whether you associate with them or not depends on what qualities you want to imbibe from them. If they have certain qualities that you want to imbibe from them, then you associate with them with keeping that in mind, that this is a quality I want from this person, and not everything. Is that okay?
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. So we are, this pink portion that I read, this is where we are stopping today. And we'll continue from here tomorrow. Okay? Thank you for your wonderful participation, and thank you for attending. And thank you, some of you, for keeping your cameras on. So, thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.